Hey, my name's Jamie Adam, and for my argument paper, I chose the school resource officer. I believe that the school resource officer is a very good advantage to have in all the schools. They have them in all 50 states now, but not every school has one. I think we should have a school resource officer because they prevent drugs and violence and fighting and harassment and bullying. And I watched this video on YouTube that was very, very good. It was Officer Russ Swift with the Boise, Idaho Police Department. And he is a school resource officer. Did not mention the school's name, but he was, when it first started off, he kind of introduced himself and he walked down the hallways and he greeted kids and he high-fived them. And he is also the basketball coach at that school. And he was showing his day-to-day life of what he does as a school resource officer. So it was like, the bell rang in the morning and these kids would walk down the hallway and he would, hey Jessica, hey Ashley, hey Tyler, and high-five them. And as like I wrote in my paper, he was telling this one boy, oh Tyler, are you going to try out for basketball this year? And the boy was like, oh no. And he's like, oh, Tyler, I think we really need you on the team this year. And there was another boy, he stopped him in the hallway who was listening to his MP3 player. And in most schools they'd be like, hey, you need to put that up. But this boy, he said, hey, let me hear what you're listening to. Find me something that you think I'll like. And the boy ended up, he found some David Bowie or something that he had on his MP3 player and let Mr. Swift listen to it. And of course he high-fived him and sent him on his way, which I think all this builds self-confidence within the children of the school. You do not want your children to grow up in a society where they think police officers are bad people or just there to watch you and look down on you and not protect you. And also, he would try to keep an eye out on the school. He would find letters and stuff on the floor, and he would pick them up and read them and make sure there wasn't nothing bad on them. When the letter stated that, oh, so-and-so, I need you to give me a ride home from school today, he realized it wasn't nothing bad. So he said, oh, this could just go in the garbage. And it went to where he was doing traffic control that day. And he said, every now and again there's an accident outside, and instead of having to call a police officer in, he is already on duty. So you don't even have to wait 20 minutes. You can get the line moving right back again. You don't need to waste time that's not there. And he was also saying how one student was riding his bicycle to school, and this student ended up getting hit by a car. And what if there was nobody there to help him? Thank goodness the child did not get hurt, but what if the child was seriously hurt and there was nobody there to help him? School resource officer is probably trained in all this, so he could help the student till the ambulance got there and keep him under control and safe. And then in the video, it showed, at the end, and he was just monitoring the students, and they were all on their day, and, he was telling them, y'all have a great day, and, we can't wait to see you tomorrow. And I think all this really does build relationships with the school resource officer. You do not want drugs and knives and guns in your school, and if another student sees that and they're a little bit worried on not who to tell and worried that it's going to get out there, and if you build a relationship with the students, they are going to come and tell you what is going on because they fear for their own safety and they do not want to feel unsafe within their school. And it also showed in this video with Mr. Russ Swift, he was, there was two girls being harassing each other through cell phone messages, and he pulled one into the office and he said, he has his own little office building, and he said, young lady, why are you harassing so-and-so? You want to be a better person when you're older. You don't want to live that life of being the bully. Nobody wants to be bullied, and it's not a nice thing to do. So he chatted with these two girls, sent them on their way, and I just think a school resource officer is a very good thing to have in the school. Also, I emailed one officer who is a school resource officer. His name is Officer Fishborough. And I asked him some questions, and we emailed back and forth a little bit. And some of the questions I asked him, was, why do you think that an SRO officer is a good thing to have in a school? Do you think that schools with SRO officers would have more problems? And he was very nice, and he emailed me back. And okay, so I'll start with some of the questions. Number one being, why do you think an SRO officer is a good thing to have in the schools? he said, it seems easy to yourself when you ask yourself that question. Why would you not want a school resource officer within your school? He said that if you want your child to go to school and feel safe, wouldn't you feel safer knowing that if somebody did break into the school and there was a lockdown, that a police officer would be there on scene with their weapon to protect your child? And no, he's not going to go off shooting everybody, and he is there for the safety of your child. The second question I asked him was, do you think that schools without school resource officers would have more problems? And he said that most of the schools will tell you, they have solved more problems than they have made arrests. He said, every school has their own problem and a level of difficulty. But with this, it's just they can kind of calm the situation. They can bring it down to a sort of lower level and keep all the bad stuff out of the school. I also asked him, do you think interacting with the kids has an impact on their decisions? He said if the students with him that were in his school did not have a relationship, like I said earlier, they would not feel comfortable telling them when there was something really wrong. So building that relationship is very important for the students, and he said that, he tries to work with them kind of like Officer Swift did in the YouTube video, and, high-fiving, and how was your day today? Do you need help with this? It builds that relationship to where you are trusting of them. And so when they do get older, they can, if they see something on the street, they see a robbery, or they even witness a murder, they can come and say, hey, when I was in high school, when I was in junior high, middle school, I had a school resource officer, and, he was very good to us, and he treated us well, and I think I'm going to go and tell this officer what I've seen, because I trust him, and I know he's not going to put me in any harm's way, and he'll be there to protect me. Another question I asked is, what is the most rewarding experience from your job? And he said, helping the students get into rehab that are troubled with drugs or alcohol, or becoming successful students now and in their future jobs. And he said also one of the most rewarding was getting an abusive child out of their home to get them to a safe place to where they will not be treated badly anymore. And, I think these are really important things that, a teacher could notice, but being an SRO officer, you know what to look for, you know what the signs are of this, and you can really pull them aside and say, hey, I'm here to help you, and I just think that those are some amazing qualities that a school resource officer can possess in the school.